Hi everyone, and welcome to the next video in this series on Django fundamentals. So now it is the moment you've all been waiting for. So I'll be teaching you how we can go ahead and deploy our project to a Heroku server. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to go to Heroku and sign up for a free account. Now to do this, just go to Google, go to Heroku, and what you want to do is you want to go ahead and sign up for free. Okay, so you will just click on this. Okay, so there are a few details that you'll need to sign up with. So your name, last name, email address, role, country, region. So very standard stuff here. So what I want you guys to do is to go ahead and sign up for your Heroku account, get it all set up and everything. Okay, and once you've done that, once you've done this setup, you can actually go ahead and log in with your account. I'll just log in with an email, a random account here, and log in. So just be sure to do that, and you'll be greeted with the Heroku dashboard. Okay, so just a notice there, but you should see this once you've created your Heroku account and once you've logged in. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Now, once you've done that and you've got an account and everything's looking great and you're on the same page as me, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and create a new app. Okay, so we're going to create an application here. So we can say create new app. So just like S3 buckets, for those of you that watched my previous videos, we should go ahead and choose a unique name for our app. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to say Taskly Management App. Okay, in terms of region, you can choose wherever, but I'm just going to keep it simple and just leave it as the United States, and we can go ahead and create our app. Okay. All right, so I just want to make something clear before we move on. So in terms of the links that you'll be using for this lesson, I will attach them in the description below, so don't worry. In case you're wondering how do I go to the Heroku website and how do I go to the links later on that I'll discuss in this website as well, in this lecture. So just don't worry, I'll attach everything below in the links for you so you can find them nicely. Okay, now once you've created a new app in Heroku, we can simply go to Overview. Okay, and we can then head over to Personal, and we can see that our app has been created. So here it is, Taskly Management App. So a cool thing that we can do is we can actually click on this here. Okay, I'm just opening a tab here. Okay, and we can just say Open App here. So we're under Taskly Management App. So we can open this app. And this is the default app URL that we'll be greeted with here. Taskly Management App, so our app name, followed by the herokuapp.com extension. Okay, so just bear that in mind. So here is our app. So name it whatever you'd like. Okay, now the next thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and install Git. Okay, so install it for the correct operating system that you have here. So mine is Windows, so I just went ahead earlier and downloaded it for Windows, and all you need to do is follow up the setup wizard. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Now these are the links that I mentioned earlier, so this will also be included in the description below. All right, so just bear that in mind. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to go to the Heroku CLI website, and I'll also attach this link in the description. Now, if you scroll down here, you are greeted with the following options. So Mac OS and Windows. So go ahead and download the Heroku CLI, whether you're on Mac or Windows. I chose, since I'm on Windows, the 64-bit installer, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so then after you have downloaded Git, you would need to go to the Heroku CLI website, which I'll attach in the description, and you would need to look for the appropriate operating system and download the Heroku CLI. Okay, and we will utilize this in the CMD. Okay. Now, the next step that we want to do after we have installed the Heroku CLI, we just want to go to our CMD and we want to actually log in to our Heroku CLI. So we can just say Heroku and login. Okay, so let's just wait for this here. So just make sure that you've installed the Heroku CLI. Okay, or else this is not going to work. Okay, so we can press any key and it's going to open up our browser to log in. So you can press any key that you want, and you'll see this here. Okay, so you can go ahead and just confirm the login and say login to the Heroku CLI. So just be sure you do that. And there we go. So we're logged in. So we can now go ahead and close this page if you would like. Perfect. Okay, so there we are. Now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and connect to our Heroku project. Now to do that, we need to say Heroku git :remote and then space 2 dashes followed by app, and then we need to put in our project name or our app name. So if we were to go to personal apps, I can see in this case that my app name is Taskly Management App. So Taskly -management -app. So let's look at it very carefully here. So I'm just going to say here Taskly -management -app. So that is my project name or app name. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so let's connect to it via remote connection. Okay, there we go. So we can see there that we are connected to our app here, okay, as follows. Perfect. Now, what we want to do now is we want to go back to our project, and we are going to just go ahead and open another CMD. So we can just hover over our CMD, our current one, and just right click it and say command prompt, and it will open another one for us. So we will now have 2 open. The first one here will be for our Heroku CLI, and the second one here will be for our Django application, since we need to install a few things. All right, so we can go into our application here. So I'm going to go CD desktop, CD development. It's going to clear here, and CD Taskly. As you can see, Taskly is our project. So I'm now just going to go into my virtual environment. Okay, and activate it. Perfect. So just be sure that you're in your project directory, your base directory, and that your virtual environment has been activated. So just be aware of that. Now, what we want to do is install a few packages. Now, the first one that we want to go ahead and install is something called G-Unicorn. Okay, so this is going to allow our Django project to, you could say, communicate with a Heroku server. Okay, now we can just say pip install G-Unicorn or Gunicorn. Okay, and just go ahead and install that. Perfect. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and say pip install white noise. Now this is going to serve a useful function, and the function that this will serve is it's going to help Django to go ahead and serve static files. Okay, so it's going to help Django to help Heroku, you could say, to serve static files. So Django is going to say to Heroku, hey, okay, so this is how you're going to go and serve static files, okay? So Django knows how to serve static files, but Heroku does not, okay? And this is why we are utilizing white noise, because from the white noise package, we're going to add some middleware, which will allow us to do just this and teach Heroku how to serve static files. So just be sure to install white noise. Okay, so as we can see, that has been installed successfully, and now we can install the middleware for this. So we can go to our settings.py, and what we want to do is we just want to scroll to middleware, and we can add this anywhere that we like. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this at the top. So I'm just going to say white noise. So this must be exactly as I type out, unfortunately. .middleware, capital W for white, capital N for noise, capital M for middleware. So just bear that in mind, and just make sure you add a comma afterwards. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so you'll have white noise .middleware .white noise middleware with caps here. Okay, so exactly the same as mine. So make sure you're up to there. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to sort of save all of our packages and dependencies in a requirements.txt file. So let's open, let's open here our command prompt. Make sure that you're not opening your Heroku CLI where the command prompt is here. Just leave that alone. And in our Django one that we're using, okay, we need this requirements.txt file. And this is going to state what libraries and packages Heroku needs to install. So it's going to look into the requirements.txt file in Django. So let's go ahead and generate this requirements.txt file and say pip freeze. And we can say greater than requirements.txt, which is going to generate that file for us. And there it is. Perfect. Okay. Now, another thing that we need to do is we need to go ahead and create a runtime.txt file. Okay, and this is going to tell Heroku which version of Python that we want to run. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and just under our project here, I'm going to say new file, and I'm just going to simply type runtime.txt. Okay, just like that. And all I'm going to type is the version of Python that I'm using. So in this case, I'm using Python 3.9, Python -3.9.13. Okay, so just state the Python version that you're using. If you're unsure of how to get that, just open another command prompt, and you can simply type Python --version on your CMD, and it will give you the version. And you must just make sure that you style it the same as I have, as follows. Okay, so remember, you're going to put a dash followed by the exact version of Python that you have. So just bear that in mind. Okay, perfect. That's great. The next thing that we want to do is we want to create a Procfile. Now this Procfile, okay, is going to be connected to our WSGI server, okay? And we can go ahead and just create that. So we can go in Taskly, say new file, and we must make sure that we do not add an extension, okay? This is automatically going to be recognized as a file based on Heroku. So all you need to do is type proc with a capital P, proc, and then file. And you can see there the Heroku symbol, it already recognizes it. So we can just leave it like that. Okay, perfect. Now we need to specify a specific process type here now. Okay, so now we're going to connect our WSGI file, our Procfile, to our WSGI server. And to do that, we can just say web : and then we can say g_unicorn. Okay, and then we need to go ahead and check our project name. So we can check this in a very simple way. So we can go to, for example, Taskly, okay, and we can go to settings.py. And what we want to do is we just want to scroll down a bit, and we want to see what is our WSGI application. So in this case, we can see it is called Taskly, okay, just like so. So we can go ahead and just say g_unicorn Taskly, okay, followed by 2 dashes, and then we can say log-file space dash. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now there is another thing that you need to add here. So under Taskly here, you need to be sure to add .wsgi. So you can just simply type here .wsgi. Okay, so be sure to do that, and while you're doing this, just make sure you save it. All right, so it should be as so. Next, what you want to do is go to settings.py again, scroll up, and you want to change a few things here. Now we want to allow our Django project to be accessed via our Heroku link and via our local host link. Now the first thing that we're going to do to set this up is we need to go ahead and just type in our Heroku project. Okay, so our Heroku project name or app name, we can see is taskly-management-app. Okay, so it's the same name as the app that we created in Heroku. So I'm just going to say here taskly-management-app, okay, and then we're going to say .heroku, okay, app.com. So this is the default for all Heroku apps, okay, until you go ahead and actually assign a domain name. And the next thing that we want to add is the default localhost. Now we're not going to do it with 127.0.0.0.1 : 8000. Instead, we are just going to shorten it and say 127.0.0.1. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so now we'll be able to access our Django project via our Heroku app live on a live server, and also offline under localhost. So this is good. So we technically have a production environment and sort of a development environment. So just bear that in mind. Okay. Next thing that we need to do, which is also important, as Django states here, we must make sure that we do not run with debug turned on. So we can just simply say false. So just bear that in mind. Okay. Now, another thing that we need to do, okay, I'm going to just scroll down here, and we need to go ahead and set a static root. So by setting a static root, Heroku will run and collect static for us, okay? But we would need to configure our static root first. And as we've seen before, we already configured our white noise middleware, okay, from earlier, which helps Heroku to serve static files. So let's set up our static root. So we can say static root, so create a variable. And you can go ahead and just say os.pass.join, and in parentheses you can say base directory, and you can just say here static files, okay, just like so. Make sure you have it exactly like mine. All right, perfect. So make sure that you do just that. Okay, so that's that here. Okay, now the next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and go back to Heroku. All right, so let's go back to Heroku, and we can click on our app as we would like. And we would need to go on and set a build pack. Now to set a build pack, we would need to go to settings, and we can scroll down until we see build packs. Okay, so we're going to add a build pack. Okay, so basically, okay, a build pack, okay, tells Heroku which language to expect. Okay, so basically we are going to be utilizing Python, so we can go ahead and just say Python. Okay, so our Django app is Python based. Okay, perfect. There we go. So your new build pack configuration will be used when this app is next deployed. Great. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to go to GitHub. Okay, so you can go ahead and create a GitHub account. Okay, I'll also attach the link to GitHub as well in case you have never created an account before. I'll attach that link so you can sign up and create a GitHub account. So once you've created a GitHub account, okay, you should be greeted with something similar to this. Okay, so what you want to do is you can go ahead to repositories and create a new repository. So I'm going to create one here, and I'm going to say Taskly Management App, exactly like my Heroku app name, okay, just to have consistency. And of course, I'm just going to say private for now, and just be sure to add a README file. Okay, so just be sure to do this. Now we can go ahead and create our repository. Okay, so let's do just that. Okay, perfect. So we've done that. Now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and move our project files to GitHub. Now this is one way that we can deploy our application to Heroku. Now there are other ways that we can do it, for example via the Heroku CLI, but I wanted to keep it short and sweet and simple for you guys. Okay, so we can go ahead and drag our files in here to this repository. So I'm just going to make this a bit smaller, and we can go to our development folder under Taskly. Okay, make sure you're in your project folder here, like so, and you can go ahead and copy and move everything except the virtual environment. And the reason for this is because we already have a requirements.txt file, okay, which Heroku will look up, and it will use this to install our packages and dependencies. So we do not need the virtual environment in there as well. So we can just go ahead and copy all of these here. Okay, everything. And what you can do is you can go ahead and just drag it. So let's just move this here and select them all, and you can drag it like so. Just drag them like here, and there we go. So it is starting to upload. Okay, so this shouldn't take that long. So we're just going to wait for these files to upload. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll head over to Heroku, and then we'll start the deployment process, where we will deploy our branch. Okay, now once we've deployed our branch, we'll then be able to see the build process for composing our web application, and then we'll be able to connect to our application, and we'll be able to see the changes and hence see our project on a live Heroku server. So as we can see, okay, it's been uploaded. We can now go ahead and commit our changes. So be sure to commit it so that it processes the files. Okay, this shouldn't take that long, so let's just wait for it to process. Okay, if it does take too long, I'll just pause the video so you guys don't waste time just watching this. Okay, there we go. So quicker than I thought. Okay, so everything's here and set and ready to go. So what we want to do now is go to our application. Okay, we have two here. Let's just go to this one. Now you can head over to deploy here. So you were in settings, now go to deploy. Now we can scroll down here and we need to choose a deployment method. Now we are utilizing GitHub, so you can click on GitHub. Okay, and it automatically can see that I'm signed into my GitHub here. So make sure that you're signed into GitHub in a tab, okay? And you just need to set your repo name. So my repo name, of course, would be Taskly Management App. So I can just copy that here and it will search for it. And there it is. So it's found my directory. So it will, of course, be your username / by your repository. So bear that in mind. Now you can go ahead and connect to it. Okay, so let's wait for it. Okay, it's now connected. Great. So it's now connected to all of my files like so. And we can scroll down and we can actually go ahead and deploy our application. Now there are two ways that we can do this. We can do this the manual way, or we can go ahead and deploy it automatically. So there are two ways that we can do it. Okay, so we can go ahead and drag our files in here to this repository. So I'm just going to make this a bit smaller. And we can go to our development folder under Taskly. Okay, make sure you're in your project folder here, like so. And you can go ahead and copy and move everything except the virtual environment. And the reason for this is because we already have a requirements.txt file, okay, which Heroku will look up and it will use this to install our packages and dependencies. So we do not need the virtual environment in there as well. So we can just go ahead and copy all of these here. Okay, everything. And what you can do is you can go ahead and just drag it. So let's just move this here and select them all. And you can drag it like so. Just drag them like here. And there we go. So it is starting to upload. Okay. So this shouldn't take that long. So we're just going to wait for these files to upload. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll head over to Heroku and then we'll start the deployment process, where we will deploy our branch. Okay, now once we've deployed our branch, we'll then be able to see the build process in the build process for composing our web application. And then we'll be able to connect to our application and we'll be able to see the changes and hence see our project on a live Heroku server. So as we can see, okay, it's been uploaded. We can now go ahead and commit our changes. So be sure to commit it so that it processes the files. Okay, this shouldn't take that long. So let's just wait for it to process. Okay, if it does take too long, I'll just pause the video so you guys don't waste time just watching this. Okay, there we go. So quicker than I thought. Okay, so everything's here and set and ready to go. So what we want to do now is go to our application. Okay, we have two here. Let's just go to this one. Now you can head over to deploy here. So you were in settings, now go to deploy. Now we can scroll down here and we need to choose a deployment method. Now we are utilizing GitHub, so you can click on GitHub. Okay, and it automatically can see that I'm signed into my GitHub here. So make sure that you're signed into GitHub in a tab, okay? And you just need to set your repo name. So my repo name, of course, would be Taskly Management App. So I can just copy that here and it will search for it. And there it is. So it's found my directory. So it will, of course, be your username / by your repository. So bear that in mind. Now you can go ahead and connect to it. Okay, so let's wait for it. Okay, it's now connected. Great. So it's now connected to all of my files like so. And we can scroll down and we can actually go ahead and deploy our application. Now there are two ways that we can do this. We can do this the manual way, or we can go ahead and deploy it automatically. So there are two ways that we can do it. So to keep this simple, we're going to go ahead and manually deploy our application. So we can just say deploy branch here under the manual deploy section. So we can say deploy branch. Okay, so let's just deploy it. Okay, so we'll now see a build here in progress. So we can just wait here for that build. Okay, so we can see it passing, and if there are any issues, we'll see it as it comes. So far everything's looking okay, which is great. So let's just wait here. Okay, it's installing the packages. As you can see, now Heroku knows where to get this, since this is from requirements.txt. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so of course it's now able to manage static files, which is great. So let's just wait for this all. Okay. So we're almost there. Okay, so it's loading the output. Great. So our app was successfully deployed, and we can go ahead and view it. And there we go. So our website is now live and running. So we can go to register, and we can see everything is looking perfect, just like we hoped. And this is at a fully functioning URL, and everything's working great. Now we also have HTTPS, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I hope that you liked this video. And this was how to deploy your Django web application to a Heroku server. So this is utilizing PWAS, which is Platform as a Service. Okay, so that's it. And that also concludes our series pretty much on Django fundamentals. Now, of course, I will be adding a lot of other tutorials. So stay tuned, of course. So I hope this helped you and that you learned a lot. Okay. Now, something important to note, what you can actually do, if you don't like this URL, you can actually go ahead and you can customize your domain name. So just bear that in mind. So if you go to settings here, you can scroll down and you can, of course, go ahead and configure an SSL certificate. And you can also go ahead and add a domain to your web application. So please just bear this in mind. So you do not need to worry about seeing this sort of ugly URL here, but it's pretty cool. At least now we know that our web application is running and it's all connected as we see here. Okay, so I hope this helped and thank you so much.